I was going to ask best determinant and indeterminate variety for short growing seasons, not counting cherry tomatoes.
That's what I was going to say
I
because
know.
I don't actually look for short. To me, flavor is everything. So I just want to
Flavors.
grow for flavor. So I don't choose them for that. And I think some that I grow are probably earlier. Like there's one I think I shouldn't say this because I'm not 100% sure how early it is, but Carmelo
Carmelo?
is a really good one.
I'll write that down.
I should look that up right now.
Oh,
Uh,
God.
well, there's three: Carmelo, Valencia, and I can't remember the third one. But they're really nice and seem like early-ish tomatoes.
They seem to
Early-ish.
seem like quicker than your other ones anyway.
And cherry tomatoes, I'm a big fan of I don't know if you can grow sun gold up there.
Yeah, people grow those. Yep, I know
Yeah.
exactly what you're
And
talking about. Yeah.
to me, that's as good as any cherry tomato can be. One year for an article I was writing for a gardening magazine, I was going to rate cherry tomatoes. So I grew 20 varieties of cherry tomatoes, and then we taste. I would taste them, and also friends and my daughter and my wife, and I remember one friend's commentary. She said that's one lousy row of tomatoes because basically like 18 of them weren't good.
Really?
Yeah, cherry tomatoes are generally, if you go to not so much now, but years ago this was more the case. But if you went to say like if you at a salad bar in a restaurant and you have cherry tomatoes, compared to what you can grow, they're really bad.
I guess they're varieties that are chosen for shelf life and
Yeah, and
how
able to throw across the room without.
exactly. Oh, and I mean, when I'm choosing tomato varieties, it reminds me of when I was a student and I go to a restaurant and you'd read the menu from right to left. Like you look at the
Uh-huh.
price, you look at the prices, and then like there was like, anything I could find for like $5 that, and it's the same thing. I basically look, I don't read anything. I look at all the days to maturity and everything that's like 75 or less, and I choose from among those. Of course, when you're on the seed catalogs, they never say, "Oh, these taste like crap" or "These are bland." Um,
Yeah, you got to read between the lines. Like this is good for canning, but want a fresh tasting tomato. Not that what's interesting. I don't know if you're familiar with the variety San Marzano.
yes, yeah,
So that tomato that was one because I did another article once on canning tomatoes
right.
or plum tomatoes, and once again, 18 out of 20 were really bad, and the one that I knew was good, I didn't really even have to taste was San Marzano. But San Marzano to eat fresh tastes like cotton, has no taste. But when you cook it, it has this that intense great tomato flavor.
That's it. I wouldn't have known that. But I've bought them in a tin. I've never grown them.
Yeah, yeah.
And I always tell my wife, "Don't. What have you done? Where's the San Marzanos?"
And actually, there were a couple of tomatoes that were really great eating tomatoes, and especially great for sauce. There was a variety called Anna Russian, which I'm sure is not a short season variety. Anna
Right.
Russian and Amish paste were really too good. Actually, you can do three things. We also dry a lot of tomatoes, so we dry those also.
I've heard of Amish paste. I swear I've seen that somewhere. So
It's very similar to Anna Russian.
okay, so it's a very low, probably had low, lot of like not as much water content as other.
Yeah, but not too low because it's really good tasting, fresh. In a
Right.
tomato sandwich, it's a great thing.
Oh, sounds like a perfect, yeah, because I do like to make tomato sauce. Most of our, you know, when you're trying to organize your garden, it has to be organized around what your family's going to eat. Otherwise, you have like all this. So, like when I first started growing my garden, I would grow a lot of the big fat beefsteak types because I like tomato sandwich. Um, but then what I end up doing is like eating tomato sandwiches at 10 o'clock at night and gaining, 1 pound a month. Um, because no one's eating them. I'm eating all this mayonnaise and bread and stuff like that. And I don't go cheap. I want like a lot of mayonnaise and I want a big, so growing those basically is the worst thing I could possibly do because I just end up eating a lot of bread and mayonnaise. So I realized like, we like tomatoes in a salad, more so my wife than myself, and tomato sauces is what everybody will eat. So
Right.
the garden needs to be heavier in the sort of Roma type, sauce paste type tomatoes, canning tomatoes, that sort of thing. Also for pickling, I'll do what's
Oh,
it called,
right.
lacto fermented tomato. I like doing that as well. I'd probably do a couple gallons of that every year as well.
Is that green tomato? You mean when they're green?
No, you take the red,
Oh,
a ripe Roma tomato, and you put it in a jar with salt water, and you
oh yeah,
leave it on the counter for about a week until it's all fizzy sort of thing. Then you put it somewhere cold, and
yeah.
it makes its own vinegar. Um, some people like eating them whole like that. I like using those as an ingredient sort of thing. Like you basically made a vinegar out of the tomato, so the water with the salty vinegary sort of water has this unique, and fermented, it's this unique flavor that adds to a lot of things. You put it in a pasta sauce, but it just has this unique flavor that you can add to your food
Yeah.
that no one else can buy. It's this
Uh-huh.
fermented tomato sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
And it's just one more thing to do when you've got like, Jesus, what do I do with all these tomatoes? I'll just stick them in a jar and let them ferment on the counter. And once you've done that, you put it in the fridge and they're good for months, sort of thing,
Yeah.
right? So it buys you
Yeah.
some time, right? But some people say they just eat them right out of the jar like that.
Yeah.
All right, so that's good. That's some good varieties